Alright, so this will record a full 90 minute to 2 hours, however long this is going to take for us to go ghost hunting. So can everybody see me in the picture? I should be red, orange, and yellow, and everything around me is blue. If you take me out of the picture, it's going to fluctuate. So the trees are now going to be orange, red, and blue or orange, red, and yellow instead of blue. So it's going to go based off of whatever is inside the screen. So it does record, and it will record audio. So I usually look for my quiet person, Steve. That's you. I know, right? You look surprised that I... Okay. Okay. So what we're looking for here are those blue spots to move intelligently. Okay, so if we see something blue and it's moving, it'll probably develop a white line around it. You have to remember this camera does not see in 3 dimensionals. So it's going to put a white line around things that it thinks are solid objects. So that way we can kind of see it a little bit differently. There are going to be things that you're going to miss. I watch this on my TV or my large computer screen so I can actually see every little detail. So again, you might miss some things tonight. Not a big deal. You're going to be a nice slow cameraman, and you're going to hold it horizontal just like this all night. And the red square means that it's recording.
Gotcha.
So if that red square turns to a circle, you just need to tap it again, and I splice 2 videos together. Don't give me 30 videos. It's never fun to splice them all together. Let's stick with temperature for a moment, just because we're all kind of on that bracket. So we all know what these are by now, right? Okay, they've all been tested. The problem with this, guys, it only gives us a surface temperature. Okay, it's not going to tell me how much what the air temperature is in between the gun and the red dot. So let's say Steve is standing where I am. He says, "Nick, there's a blue spot on the wall. There's a cold spot right there in the dead center." First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to debunk it. I'm going to look for a difference in temperature of the wall. It might be some AC on the other side or whatever. If it's the same temperature all the way across, I now know that the blue area is between Steve and the wall. Does that make sense to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where this guy comes into play. This is a psychrometer. It's actually meant to measure humidity and temperature based off the probe at the top. Somebody broke the little cage. There is electrical tape there. It's not rigged, I promise. So this is not a super active tool, but when we do need to actually find something, we're going to start where Steve is and work our way through that blue spot and find where the cold spot is. So the top number is going to be humidity. We don't care about that. The bottom number is what we care about. That's the temperature gauge. So again, not super active. This is more going to be, you're going to pal around with him, and that way you're going to help make sure all of the baselines for, try to team this up based on COVID reasons. I'm sure you guys are guessing already. So you're going to help him make sure, it's not going to be synced up. They're about 4 or 5 degrees off. But if he says, "Hey, shoot that car real quick and let's see what the temperature is because it's pretty hot here," make sure it's in the right area. Spirit boxes. Megan mentioned one earlier. It's going to go to the 2 of you. Okay? So spirit boxes, what's cool about this one is it actually records the entire session. And it's not going to record any of us. So we're not going to have any of the background noise. What is a spirit box? Do you guys have any idea what that is? Alright, cool. So spirit box is basically going to sweep through FM radio stations for us very quickly. Your television shows make it go so fast that they only hear disembodied voices. We don't do that here because y'all are amateurs. We slow it down so you have radio DJs, you have song lyrics, you have commercials, and disembodied voices. Okay, so any word you hear or phrase, I want you guys to spout it off to me. If you don't hear anything because it's hard to hear, it's okay because it's recording the entire session even when it's on mute. So that's what's super cool about this. That's one of the reasons why I got it, because it's great for this tour. It's great for my own investigations. When I'm in a museum, I can just turn it on and throw it in my pocket and listen to it later to see what I actually captured. Now you can see it's already sweeping. All you need to know is the 1 volume button right up here at the top.
So how that loud so that we can hear.
Yep, and I'll say certain areas where, like, let's just make it just audible. And obviously when I'm talking, I don't want to be shouting over static. So we're going to kind of play this by ear. There'll be specific direction with each location we go to because there's a short story before each one. That way you guys know what you're listening for, or what you're watching for, or what I've caught in the past. Does that make sense to everybody? I'm not going to make things dramatical and theatrical. Like it is what it is.
Okay. Yeah.
Alright, so Megan, we're going to go with a different type of theory for you. You're going to measure all of the energy around us. So, very first and very simple tool I use is a battery tester. Just regular old cell battery. The theory is that spirits can use energy from batteries, which of course you all are going to have electronic devices, but we want to give them a direct source. I'm going to show everybody that this is actually in a positive area. The rubber bands are simply holding the battery together because it's a very cheap gadget device, whatever we want to call this. Right now it is just into the red. So as you can see, that needle is just into the red. It should only move about 1/8 of an inch by the end of your 90-minute tour, okay? So if it moves any further than that, obviously something was draining it from time to time. This is kind of a pocket item because you staring at a very slow needle all night is going to be boring. So I'm going to give you something else to go along with it. We're going to go with an EMF meter. Okay, so EMF actually measures 3 different types of electromagnetic fields. This one in particular measures the natural one from the earth, which is why it's green right now. The next one is from electronic devices. So my cell phone or anything that's going to give off a pulse, wiring, so forth and so on, will give it a rhythm. We don't want the rhythm. Okay, we don't want to be able to snap our fingers and tap our feet to it. We want erraticism. We want this thing to go absolutely crazy. So it's up to you to tell us when this thing's going crazy because it doesn't make any noise. Looks like you have a breast pocket there, Meg. So if you want to throw this guy in there and then keep the EMF out. So I'll say, hey, where's our battery tester at from time to time? And we'll just take a look at it before and after each location. Let's see here. I see you were using something on your phone. Are you going to continue with something like that, or you want to go with something new? Something new? Alright.
Hang this off my belt.
Yeah, let's do that.
It's way in my way.
Things
No,
get
I need the loops.
I know, but I'll fix it.
We got more coming your way too, don't worry. Alright, so this is the neuralizer for Men in Black. You guys are not going to remember a damn thing when we're done. It's a grid pen. So it's still somewhat daylight out. Trust me, the sun will go away very, very soon. So this will be way brighter by the time we actually start moving into some real historical locations. So what does a grid pen do? So let me kind of wash my hand for a second. See how that flashes on top of my hand? It helps us see things that we can't see with the naked eye. We're not really looking at the dots on the ground, we're looking in between the pen and the dots. Does that make sense? So this is a laser. There are a lot of rules to lasers. We're point straight or straight down and about 5 feet out in front of you. That's really about as far as you're going to really need to go. If you want to hold it up a little bit, just so you can see a little bit more out of the peripheral, because you really won't need to see, like, be staring at this the entire night. So there'll be certain places for that. We use another grid as well. And again, it's not completely dark yet. This one is a little different. It actually gives us squares. So why do I want squares? In case we actually capture something, because you guys are going to get a digital camera too. Let's say we actually capture something in there. I can then take that picture of the whatever's in there with the squares and put it in 3D software, and then we have a 3D view of the apparition that we caught. This is relatively new. I haven't caught anything with it yet. I've only had it for a few months. So the way you're going to use these together, it's not going to be across the streams. Somebody got my Ghostbuster joke way down at the end. What's that?
That's a first.
I know, right? Usually I say that and it just... So you're literally going to be kind of side by side, just point out a little bit, 5 feet in front of you, nice big round circle. Alright. Last but not least. Really? We got a digital camera, very simple point and shoot. There is no flash on this camera. So there's rules to this, of course. None of you on the wall can be in the picture. Reason why? I don't do legalities. Y'all didn't sign waivers. I do upload these to Facebook so you guys can have them to download for yourself. Really what we're looking for, I'll point out some like touristy type things that you guys can have for your tour, but the reason why we don't do flashes is so that way there's no false positives. when you're taking pictures with this, you need to be completely still. Otherwise, I'm going to get wavy lines and I have to analyze every dot and see what's not in the same realm. So, simple point and shoot for you guys. You guys have the spirit box, which will keep both of you occupied because you're going to both be listening to try to verify each other. All right, last but not least, I do use a couple of tools on my phone. Questions so far? Is this what you guys thought you were getting yourselves into?
Nope.
Say, heck yeah.
That's okay.
No? What about you guys? You look a little
We're fine
worried.
with either.
Okay.
I am a little worried, but it's fine. I feel more comfortable now than I did in the beginning.
All right, good.
It's good.
I do have a backup EMF in case that one's battery's drained, which is also why she has the battery tester, so we'll kind of see what's happening. It is on my phone. It's not as sensitive, but it does work in a pinch.
Sometimes I drain batteries like crazy.
Oh, this ought to be interesting, then. I use 2 spirit boxes
Why
on...
did I just put batteries in there.
Oh, that's probably why you don't have a watch on either, huh?
Well, I left that.
I use 2 spirit boxes on my phone. So this one will actually give us a list of words here in the center. And then it's going to save them to a word list. The last tour I did last night was 68 terms. We're going to clear them out and start you guys off fresh because they already have their words. Here's what I'll tell you about this app. 80% of it is BS. It doesn't mean anything. It's at 15 to 20%. You guys might actually only get one term out of this that actually makes sense to what's happening with y'all, what's happening with me in London, our tour, or the location. In the event we actually have a connection, because I look at it as a collective in the morning. If I find something, like I'm talking about Big John's and the name John comes up, I give you a link to tell you about Big John. That's what I do. Verifiable stuff. Otherwise, what's the point of doing this if I can't prove any of it? So you guys will have that full list, and then I use a reverse spirit box. So what's a reverse spirit box? Reverse spirit box, this one is set up where it's just a man and a woman saying a series of words, and then it's played backwards. Very simple. Sounds like complete gibberish to us in the real world, but if I'm actually asking questions in an EVP session and something comes through intelligently and I hear it in forward motion, I obviously know I have something intelligent with me. I'm going to play it for you, and then I'll play the strongest EVP I've ever caught with this to prove that it actually works. Now that we have no traffic. So again, complete gibberish. Now, I use this and it doesn't record. So my audio that you guys are going to get, you'll hear this and me talking to it. And if I hear something, I'll say rewind by 5 seconds. It's an MP3. That way you guys can verify what I heard. Does that make sense? So, sorry, did you guys get the gist of that? I know it's pretty quick with it. I really need to put this in a better spot so I can find it. So this EVP you're about to hear is, I was talking about a woman from England. And I'm going to play it for each pair. We'll start with you guys once the traffic stops. And what you're going to hear is baked beans breakfast. And I'll play it for you twice so you guys can actually hear it. Catch it?
Yeah.
Okay. This traffic's killing us. Did you hear it? Breakfast. Pretty clear.
Yeah.
Alright, so here's what's so interesting about that, and here's how I look at your data in the morning. So, and there's garbage cans along the way too.
Yeah,
So that specific night, within I think it was 3-minute time frame, that spirit box that you have told me, I'll fix you, and then we got baked beans breakfast, and then the word list that I showed you earlier had the word tea in it, all within 3 minutes. I'll fix you, baked beans breakfast, and tea. Do you see how that's a full sentence and how I had to piece all that together? That's how I look at your data in the morning as a collective. So by the end of our ghost hunt, based on whatever we find, is when I go to those hotspots and I look for what other data do we have. Because the EMF might go off and none of us heard anything on spirit boxes, but I'm going to check it out anyway, just to see what else is there in that timestamp. So that's when I say I'm not going to review your full 8 hours worth of data. So, guys, I'm sorry, any other
And
questions?
there's nothing that you can't like rewind this to hear what if like we pick up if we think we hear something, you can't rewind it until
I need you to tell me so that way I can, because last
Mark
night,
it
right,
for
I can mark it
time.
in audio. I don't
Okay.
want to stop you recording so that maybe we get the
Okay.
whole thing.
So it's not like you can stop it at that time and then listen to it again.
You essentially
there.
can,
Okay.
but for the
Just
sake of the
easier
group.
time, yeah.
Right. So that way I have the marker on the audio, my audio, so I know to go back before that and listen. So, let me get those apps back up. And I can use both of those spirit boxes at the same time. So at times you'll hear me say the word that came up even though it wasn't something I heard. So I got the word leading. See how that pops up in the middle of nowhere? Again, 80% of this is going to be BS. So I think we're safe now for me to take off the sunglasses. I have epilepsy. The sunlight destroys my eyesight. Just so you guys know, I can't see in the sun. So anyway, we start here for a reason. Was there any other questions? I'm sorry, that was a great question. I don't think anybody's ever asked, can we stop and play it in real time? So, good one. I know that. Check that out in the future. This place, it used to be called Big John's. You guys heard me say that name already once. So Big John was a football player for the 1947 New York Giants. I'm not a football guy, so I had to memorize all this stupid football crap so I could tell you guys this story. So, I know, right? You're going to find I'm not your typical tour guy. You're going to find that out real soon. Big John used to sit in the back of the bar. We had the Citadel nearby, so the cadets would come over for a drink after they were done training. And Big John would let, did you grab my vape?
No, you're not. I got
Sorry
one
guys, I'm a
that
smoker.
way.
You can actually probably go easier that way. Go up through the Red Barn lot. That way you can catch back up to us. So, she gets
That's why she's
commission. She gets commission. So anyway, two guys come in one night and they're not of age, and Big John tells the bartender, cut them off. They're not ready to drink. So they get mad, they leave. They come back the next night and they try to steal the register from the front of the bar. Big John pulls out his .45, shoots, kills, the bullet ricochets and lands in the wall. The bullet hole is still in the front of this wall. Now, why is that important? Because it said anybody that sits in the front of the bar, not everybody.
Speaking of.
Yes. Right? Should be interesting what's coming up on my spirit box right now.
His older brother was
Going too far.
That was
Good job.
uncanny. It did say informal was the word that just came up. But I just told you guys I was not your typical tour guide, so yes, I'm pretty informal. This is not a script. So where were we? Oh, he shoots, kills, the bullet holes up there. Oh, so at times, somebody who's sitting in the front of the bar will have a headache, not feeling well, a little queasy. I tell you this story because I don't know how paranormal activity is going to affect any of you. There are times I've taken stuff home. Let's just say I had my tools, and I carry a little satchel now filled with blessed stones. Things have been hunky-dory for the past couple of weeks. A few weeks ago was not very good. I've had people pass out from this tool.
Okay.
I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this as a precaution, because the first time somebody passed out on me, the next day I got CPR and first aid trained. I don't want to ever have to use it.
Maybe it was just hot out that night.
It was not. It was in the middle of January.
Never mind.
So, I'm very serious about this. The slightest headache, I need to know. The person that is not feeling well, I need the other person in that party to speak up. Because that person's going to say, no, we're good, let's keep going. And that's usually when somebody drops like a wet noodle. Okay? Doesn't happen often, but it does happen. I have to give that warning ahead of time. Again, if I say we need to go because I feel like the data we're getting is a little darker than I'd like it to be, this is a family-friendly event. I will say we need to go and go now.
Okay.
That has happened 4 times now in the year I've been doing this. Okay?
Decent ratio.
Yeah, we don't want the dark. We don't need to mess with the dark side.
Exactly. So, the other story that goes along with this is the mantle that's above your heads actually broke off during our one and only earthquake of 1886. It was a 7 point something on the Richter scale. It was in the front of the building, no worries, don't be staring at it like it's going to drop. It actually apparently broke off, hit somebody in the head, and it was our first kill from that earthquake, the first death occurred right here. So, that ghost is said to be seen right here on East Bay Street. I don't have any data or evidence to prove that. However, that is the previous owner of this bar. His name was Paul. I used to chat with him often when this place was hopping. He'd come out and smoke. We'd talk about ghosts and Big John and all kinds of stuff, but he said that he's seen a couple of dark shadows in the middle of the night. Thank you, my dear.
I need a raise.
You don't get a raise. You actually got a little bit of a pay cut. Yeah.
What's that mean?
That means we'll talk later. So, you guys ready to go ghost hunting?
Yeah.
You guys tired of hearing me talk?
No.
I hope not, because I talk a
Hopefully I
lot
won't
more.
pass out.
You'll be fine.
I just swapped.
You're on tour.
I don't have to walk with you, dear. We're falling behind already.
Beat the pralines up on car meters.
Getting anything?
Megan, you're at the right place. I just got your text.
Okay,
I was like, who's
good. There's
texting me?
look
from?
like. I think it was this stuff that warmed.
Okay. Alright, let me give you the skinny of what's actually happening here. You guys are going to hear lots of helicopters tonight because apparently they're doing another protest near Marion Square again, which is about 2 blocks that way. Let's see what else we have. That's pretty good. We're going to see if we can get something stronger. So, a couple of things right here before we truly get you guys out and free.
With you?
Is the building behind you, the Crew Cafe back there, the white-looking double house, is allegedly haunted from a suicide. They've asked me to come in and take a look, and it'll probably be a podcast episode. However, it used to be a slave home, so it's really hard to find titles and deeds to places that didn't have addresses. I don't know if that's a reconstruct, an expansion. I have no idea what's going on with that building. I did get an EMF spike upstairs. Could probably debunk it by some of the old wiring that's in the house. But again, until I do a full investigation, and on my podcast, it's not the TV show where it's just haunted stuff all the time. If I can debunk it, I'll claim something not haunted, no problem, especially if it's got haunting claims. For you history buffs, right past Crew Cafe, there's a stop sign, crossroads, obviously, street, and everybody picture the peninsula of Charleston was much skinnier back in revolutionary times. The stuff we have on the edges now is all man-made crap. So, revolutionary ship rolls up, shoots a cannon, lands right at the stop sign. No deaths, no tragedies, nothing paranormal. But for your history buffs, I was like, oh, I found a little nugget of history. Let me add that to the tour. So again, kind of cool. It was still the neighborhood, and I don't think there was no deaths. I don't know how many injuries there were. So where are we standing now? Anybody here ever take a carriage ride? No. Well, this is where they start. This is the red barn where they actually keep. This is stables for the horses. There are horses in there now. So here's what I'll say. No lasers at all on that building. At all. You will spook them. I'm friendly with this tour group. Not all tour groups in Charleston are friendly with Nick because I do take a lot of business. We won't go that route. But this is also the same red barn that actually held the horses that delivered milk to Charleston. So that kind of dates it for you. So we're talking 1860s to 1920s.
Oh, wow.
So I mean, it's been around, but that's as far as the history that I have. In this lot, we get weird, odd things that occur. We do get spirit box activity. We've had some weird wavy lines with the laser grid on this wall over here. Don't know why. Had nothing to do with water. We all saw it, and not one of us out of my group of 10 decided to pull out their cell phone and record it because we're trying to debunk it. It was nuts. So nice slow movements with the thermal imaging camera as she's jotting it all around. It's funny.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. But you're going to learn a lot about different types of material with a thermal imaging camera in here. We have metal, we have asphalt, we have brick and wood, obviously vehicles, those kind of things. Absolutely no pictures of cars, so kind of be wary of people's vehicles. They do get weird like that. We need to kind of pay attention to what's going on with yours, EMF. And where's our battery tester now, just so we can kind of gauge where we're at? Where's the needle at? It was in the red when we first started, just barely. Not the same? Okay, good. So we'll look at it again when we get to the next spot. Hang on. London's got a flashlight for when you need to see it, so that we're not carrying too many devices. So again, with the lasers, absolutely none on that building near the windows. So yours make a spray, so definitely none on you. But if you want to help him with like, hey, what's this weird spot on the building? Just keep your red dot out of the windows.
Okay.
We're definitely going to do a spirit box session with you. So here's how we're going to use the spirit boxes. On your TV shows, they normally just spouting off questions, right? Where are you from? Who's here? Can you make this device do whatever? No, we're not going to do that. We're going to ask non-yes or no questions more than once. So, for example, what color is the barn? We know that we're listening for the color red. If you don't hear it after 30 seconds, ask again, rephrase if you can. Can you tell me what color the barn is? Wait another 30 seconds. You're going to do that for a repetition of 3 to 4 or 5 times. If you don't get an answer out of those 4 or 5 times, which is what, 2.5 minutes, simply, and they're not in the box either. You don't have to say, hey, the color's barn. It's a conversation.
Yeah.
They're here. I'm going to move on to another question. Can you tell me what's inside the barn? You know, maybe that's an easier term for them to try to muster up. We have to give them time to get the energy to give us the answers that we're looking for. You're going to hear the same things on my audio when I'm doing my own sessions, but this right here is all about you guys trying to see what we can actually capture. So the two of you are going to work as a team. We're going to kind of use your lasers again through here, but we're going to see what's actually happening. So in the event we actually get some activity out of her lasers, I'm going to ask that you shoot some pictures through the lasers. Maybe we can capture something along the way. So, questions, comments, concerns. Me and London are going to pal around with you guys. So, let's get your spirit box up. Again, not too loud near the horse barn. We don't want to spook them with that either. Just enough, loud enough for the two of you to hear. So, let's get you guys walking, listening.
I have one question.
Yeah.
That doesn't work through glass, correct?
It does not.
Yeah.
So, there are certain places that at the end where we're going to kind of check out. I'm going to say, hey, let's get a nice slow sweep of the glass. So if you were trying to look inside Big John's, the only thing we're going to see is obviously glass is going to be colder than the building itself, right? So it's going to be blue. So what I would look for is maybe one panel or one corner of a panel to turn a darker blue or black. That means something from the inside is influencing that specific spot of the window. That's all I'm looking for. Yes, awesome question. I was highly disappointed when I bought it. And my first tour, I'm like, why can't I see inside? It just looks blue. And then I did all my research on how does this thing actually work, which, you know, best fits. Because I think Ghost Hunters actually uses the purple and yellow setting, where you can only see.
Yeah, that's the big difference between thermal imaging and infrared.
Right. So I have it set that way, so that way we can actually see the differences. And we've caught quite a bit with it. We've caught shadow people. We've caught weird anomalies. We've actually caught thermodynamics in reverse. So what does that mean? The second law of thermodynamics says you can't create or destroy temperature. It only fluctuates. So we're standing kind of like this, and the person on the camera kind of just had it pointed and on the ground, literally heated up by about 7 to 8 degrees in about 5 seconds, which means a cold spot was developing somewhere else because it has to balance. So I was glad that we caught that, and in the event you see that tonight, keep it on the growing heat. That's proof enough to me that there's a cold spot growing somewhere else because of the laws of physics, thermodynamics. But yeah, let's get you guys walking and listening in on your thing and tell me what you guys hear. London, go ahead and walk with them first, and let's kind of make sure they're on the right path with that. And then let's get you two just kind of touring around this lot and stay within the boundaries.
So we're just walking this area.
Yep, that's it. So when we find a hot spot, let's get you and that pipe and two maybe in the opposite direction.
Cold mud. Cold around there. Blue spot with white around it. bats are flying around.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Watch where it hit certain spots where it just goes over into the red. Really? But this doesn't. Thing is going crazy. Yeah. Odd. Now it's all over. And then it's gone. But I'm not even moving. It got hot. That right there?
Yeah. That's just me.
You got some red spiking. So
Yeah.
I can also use this as a communication device as well.
Yeah.
You ever seen that done before?
Uh-uh.
So what I'll do with this guy, let me move my phone away from it so it's not influencing it, is because we're spiking up into the red right now, I'll ask whoever's here, and they can already hear me, so this is me
Yeah.
asking, to step away from that device and actually make it go down to green. If we actually have somebody here,
Okay.
step away from the lights, and I want you to make that device go to green. You do that by walking away from it. So we're no longer in the red, so it's like you're trying. And we're also standing on sewer lines, so there's
Oh,
nothing
we
that's
are.
going to make that go any wonky.
Huh. Oh.
There you go. Walk a little bit further away. Make it go all the way to green. Thank you. I see it. There we go.
Thank you. Thank
Perfect.
you.
Can you make it go to red now?
Back
Really
to
prove
red?
that you're here? All the way back up to red. Get close to it. Walk right up to it and touch the box with the lights.
Are you?
Really. I almost see a pattern in that.
Yeah?
There's nothing that's would influence that to go that way.
There we go. Or is it just me moving it?
There we go. All the way up to
There you're
red.
back.
So that's a good communication, these two. So
Okay.
when we're in certain places like this, like I said, this is a
Yeah.
great practice area for everybody to kind of get a gist of how all these devices work. And again, you don't have to
This
stare
one
at that thing.
doesn't really move,
Yeah,
yeah.
so there's a pocket. You check it, before and after every location, just to kind of see where we're at.
That's the best way to hold this thing. The best way to hold it. Does my finger influence this at all if I put my finger
So
here?
this is
This
where the
one-
camera
That's
is.
what I thought. I need to keep my hand off this end.
Yeah, are you left or right-handed?
I'm right-handed.
Okay. I'm sorry, I
But
normally ask.
she's having a hard time walking, so I kind of let her
Sure.
grab onto me on occasion. So I'm
Understood.
gonna switch back and forth.
But yeah, your finger in front of this, see how it turns orange?
Yeah.
Your whole screen. So,
Okay. So I can hold it here.
yeah, you can.
Okay.
Just keep
If
an
I
eye on
need
that
to.
red square.
If I need to.
Yeah, just watch the red square. Like
Yeah.
last night we lost a little bit of footage because somebody did that and they bumped it with their palm. So just gotta be mindful of that red square. That's
Yep,
all.
we're good.
And that yellow device isn't super active all the time. It's more about your laser gun.
This.
Right.
Okay.
So the yellow device, again, if
can
needed,
double
you
check.
can pocket it. Yeah, it's kind of like the battery tester. We'll pull it
Okay.
out when we need to.
Okay. Okay. You don't see anything right here, though? Hi.
I see you.
Hello.
Hello. You heard me.
Say hello to the camera.
I'm on you. You see your hand holding that thing?
Yeah. Nothing?
Blue goes.
Yeah. To the back.
Yeah, it goes blue. I mean, I can't explain that. The building goes from hot to blue. Yeah, it's blue now. Now it's going red.
Let's put everybody up and kind of like get you guys moved on to the next
You
location.
found it?
If you guys have any other direct questions, we can get on some history. Refresh your lasers. The green one will burn up if you leave it on. All right, so does everybody have a pretty good gist of how your devices work?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're actually going to go learn some history now, and we'll kind of give you the skinny of what's going on with the next location, and then again, very specific on which device can do what in the location we're going to go to. So we haven't heard anything yet on the spirit box, but that doesn't mean there's nothing there. It just means they're getting their ears adjusted to listen to it. I listen to it every day, so it's easy for me to pick stuff up. And you gotta remember, I do this 6 nights a week, 2 tours. So in the morning, like I'm listening to 2 full sessions of spirit boxes. That's what I do. That's one that I stole her headphones so I can actually listen in and she can watch TV. So, you guys ready to go learn some history?
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. Let's go this way.
Remember when I told you when I heard it say my name?
Yeah.
That's what they heard it.
Oh,
So
really?
then I have to go where I was from and that's how I heard it.
Really?
Didn't say the yak.
Yaktown?
Yak.
She's breaking into a car, everybody. You guys see this? Call the police.
What are you doing with your foot, babe?
Oh, I'm having issues.
What are the issues? Hmm? They're not working too good.
Normally I take Fried Rock over there.
Oh.
Alright, welcome to the Pinckney Mansion site. If I had a grand finale, this would be it. Tour's over. No, I'm kidding. She looked at me like, are you serious? So I promise we're not going to go to parking lots all night long. But this one is super important to Charleston. So this is home of Eliza and Charles Pinckney. So who the heck were they? They had a son named Charles. So there's 2 Charleses. And they also had a nephew named Charles. The son and the nephew were signers of our Constitution. The son was raised right here. So how cool is that for Charleston, right? Oh, good. The helicopters are a little higher tonight. So Thursday night we had a big breaking of subject, sorry. But the helicopters were so low, I was literally screaming all night. I lost my voice. So, at any rate. So, I don't really care for politics, so we're going to actually talk about Eliza. Eliza's a pretty big deal as well. So, who was it that moved here again? Was it you guys? And you guys look good, right? Okay. So, you should probably see indigo all over town with stuff. This is the story of why we have indigo, things named indigo, whatever. So Eliza married Charles so she can stay here in the United States. She's not from here. This is where baked beans breakfast came from, by the way. She's from England. Her dad was dying over in England, and he wanted all his kids home, and she didn't want to go. So she got married and became a U.S. citizen. She was 22 years old, so keep that in mind. Because you can ask, that number will probably pop up again later. So anyway, Dad got better, and he started sending her gifts. And the layout of this particular plat was the mansion in the front, Eliza's garden right here, and the slave quarters back here. So the gifts that Dad would send dealt with her garden. One of those plants that he sent over was indigo. So what the heck is indigo? It makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. We still use it today. It's a pretty big deal. That crop, cash crop, started right here. It became so big they had to move it over into Mount Pleasant on Snee Farm. That's why Snee Farm is over there, and that's why there's a Charles Pinckney historical monument over there. Because that was his farm. So Eliza was also the businesswoman that sold indigo overseas, which is what made it a huge cash crop after the rice plantations went downhill. That's a pretty big deal. We're talking colonial times. No such thing as a businesswoman. Like, that's huge. So, a couple cool things about Eliza that you guys can ask on your spirit boxes. I also want you guys to actually keep in mind that with all the spirit boxes running, my 2, theirs, the audio on your camera and the audio that I'm carrying, no matter what the question is, the answer can go to any of those devices. That's why I use so many different pieces of communication. So, a couple things about Eliza. Second wife named Eliza from Charles back to back. So she actually goes by her maiden name, Eliza blank Pinckney. So that way you could tell the difference. Try to find out what that maiden name was. They had 4 kids. I already told you one of them was named Charles. Out of those 4 kids, only one was a daughter. Try to find out what her name is. I'll be doing the same thing. You can also ask about what happened to the mansion. Where did it go? What happened to it? I'm trying to think what else. Oh, you can find out how Eliza died, how old she was when she died. The other night she told us 22, which was significant because she was born on the 22nd of December, which I had December. I'm right at that, on the other two. And she got married at the age of 22. So that was an interesting number. We didn't know what it was. Again, I don't know everything. I'm not the Google of all paranormal things. I have to look things up. You guys normally teach me something by the morning that I actually had to look up and give you verifiable links. So you can find out how she died, where she buried, where's Charles buried, like all of those things. Like ask what cities they're in. She still hangs out here, and it's an intelligent spirit. It's not a residual where she just does the same things over and over and over again. She will communicate. Charles has been coming through quite a bit lately too. So I have heard the words October several times, and a lot of times on this spirit box with the word list, it'll come up twice. Why? Because he was born in October and he died in October. So it made sense why I'll get it twice in the same night of the same location. So there's some great questions for you guys to go on. Absolutely no pictures in here, so my apologies. Too many vehicles, they all get pissed and come out screaming. Your EMF's just going to go nuts. So really you guys kind of need to see where the hot spots are there so you guys can do your question and answer session nearby. Nice slow sweeps on the camera still, Steve. And again, you can, with the infrared gun, get us just the base temperatures. There's the gravel in here is going to give some kickback. So we actually found, I'm sorry, name again?
Amnesty.
Amnesty.
The tough
I will
one.
get it right.
It's fine.
Building. That's interesting. So, just told me the word building. They're going to put a commercial hotel here. They're not going to do an archaeological dig. They say it costs too much money, which I can guarantee you, with the amount of archaeologists that live in Charleston, you can get a free crew down here to dig up some more of our history if they were to actually dig for those people. No pun intended for archaeologists. We're going to dig for the archaeologists. Oh, the light's blinking. Nice.
Yeah.
So, Megan, stand over there, face the building, and hold the EMF like you're going to take a selfie.
See the light blinking?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times it will go in sync with the EMF. It's within. You can. You can get started if you want. I just like to point out that sometimes that light actually pulses with the EMF. But yeah, you guys have enough questions, you can start asking. So go ahead and start taking a hike.
Well, before we started, we were over there on the corner, and I just had like my thing on my phone. It said Charles, Mary, and it said examine gently. Like those are all the words that came across. So we're like, we're gonna.
There is a sensitive topic from here. So I will ask you, do not ask about. That's why I didn't go specific books to talk about. Because one of them didn't go there. Once you start talking about them, that's different questions. All that will be fine.
That's just the words that came up on there. So
But if you got Charles already, I'm not surprised.
it was Charles.
Again, be mindful of vehicles.
Yeah.
Yes, dear.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah.
All right. So I tested it in the video to see how it's within 2 frames. So if you want to pull out your cell phone, that way you have something to check out later. That just shows you, and it's not always blinking. It's not always in the same rhythm either. Sometimes it's real dim. Sometimes it's flashing like a strobe light. Like it's usually all over the place. That's usually one of the last things I check, just to kind of show off to see if it even is blinking at all. I did get the word harmonic, which would mean to me they're in sync. Exactly. Take it. Alright, so where did they go with their spirit? So I'm going to go in the opposite direction so I can capture something.
Yeah. Eliza, is it you or Charles? Look how that is going.
That is crazy. That light.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is not the same.
See, it's warm here. See the screen is warm, it's red. As soon as I go out here, it was blue. It's cooler. But that could be the difference in the material on the ground. See, it's warm. Move it up. I think it's cool. But that could be the difference in what we're standing on here and how it absorbs the sun today. It's 78 in the blue, 77. And down here it's 80, 81. Yeah, all I'm seeing is car windows that are cold and windows on buildings. There's a darker blue over there with a lighter color around it, but it's a tree. So that light does something every time you do, whether it's that or control or brighter. So he knew that something was up with that. Every time you bring somebody here.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, earlier, when we first started, I didn't feel too good.
Really? You okay now?
Yeah, I'm still hot. My head's fine.
Yeah, I was burning up.
I think the pralines heated me up.
If I was a car thief, that would be my only tool.
Yeah?
I can tell which one's been here to walk. You guys get it.
I'm asking questions about two Elizabeth vouchers. Does that make sense?
That little camera is not a cheap device. But yeah, those that infrared, I've got one in my pocket all day. And those we used to use, but now everything's automated. It's weird.
You have the app, don't you?
On what?
It's really active. Did you guys have it both on?
What?
No. You don't have it.
Oh,
Like it's, because I just turned it on my phone.
I don't
She's
have.
talking to it.
I don't have an app on my. I only got like 5% battery on my phone. I drain battery.
So he said, don't ask about work or whatever.
So there were some sensitive subjects.
They'll stop communicating with us. Because they already told her, be gentle. Tread lightly. Be gentle. Or we're gonna leave.
Alright. What are you guys finding on yours? Anything crazy, out of whack, nothing out of the norm?
The temperature of the ground fluctuates, but I think it's just the gravel and the pavement.
Gravel, mud, obviously be much cooler, so that's going to show up in the blue.
Yep.
Again, you guys learned a lot about thermodynamics from me. With this, I mean, you had all those different types of material. Over here, it's about the ground and watching how much heat projects out of the car going downward. So, again, I can see which cars have been here the longest based on that.
The cooler, the blue.
Right. So, again, I mean, you're doing what I hope people do, which is try to keep it as still as possible so I can watch an area for more than 5 seconds as it was doing a slow sweep. But nice, stay still for 10, 15 seconds, move on. I mean, again, we might miss stuff, but it's okay. We'll catch it in the morning if it's actually there. So, is your EMF still going pretty nuts? Because I'm not getting much on my spirit box, and they haven't caught anything yet on theirs. So,
I
again,
have George
you got George?
and Detail and Mary again.
No Mary. No Mary tied to this location, unless it was her aunt that used to visit often. But I think you're on to something with George. Give me 1 second.
That's the one that passed away.
Is it?
Yeah.
And that's also, it said, what did it say? Like
Detail. Oh, it said examine and then gentle.
Examine gentle.
And it gave me Charles, Mary, examine, gentle. And then it gave us half, middle, and now George and Detail.
Okay.
Well, George was the one that passed away. A few months.
Yeah, I want to say it was like 6.
Oh.
Very, very young.
Wow, one of the babies.
Yeah. So that's why I say we try to stay away from that topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one just came up.
Okay. Alright, let me chat with the wife and see what else I can capture. They're asking really good questions, like they went off my beaten path. They're coming up with their own. So,
Does someone want me to put it back?
wherever you want to go. Wherever you want to go. You can help her with the grid pens, maybe.
How you feeling, honey? You wishing you were not at home?
I'm not excited.
They started bringing out the stuff on the road. Years ago.
Yeah, just for like a disruption.
I like that breeze.
Yeah, it's nice. Still hanging out. She went full red.
She's here talking to you.
She went full red on me.
What should we ask her? Eliza, where did you bury all the babies at? So George is buried here.
Probably.
Maybe George died when he was young
6 months.
and he is buried here. Is that what that means?
What else could they do with it?
Well, back then you just buried them in a hole somewhere. They didn't have toilets to flush.
I don't know, but I need some ibuprofen. You got any ibuprofen, Eliza? Is it Eliza?
Eliza.
Eliza Minnelli?
That's just Eliza.
Alright,
Eliza with an E.
I'm already bored with this.
You and me both, sister. We could do more on our own.
Alright, so something I don't normally do, because I usually get so much activity out of Eliza up in that corner. I actually went to where the slave quarters were and decided to poke around with some questions. I got the name Avery, which isn't something very common that you would hear today.
I asked her what her daughter's name is. Do you know what her daughter's name is?
That wasn't, no. And then I asked, okay, Avery, can you tell me what happened to the house? I looked up Avery
And
real
look
quick
at
just to
see
make
what-
sure it wasn't a word other than a name, and it's just a name.
Right.
It's not a valid Scrabble word, is what I got from Google. And they said never seen, like through the audio part. So I marked it for you on your audio, so that to me is kind of like, okay, it's an intelligent response. But you know what happened, even though you didn't see what happened. Can you tell me what happened? And I didn't get anything. So let's, did you guys end up hearing anything on yours? No. Avery's interesting. Because I don't know if I can look up who her servants were. So I'll dive into that and see what I can find. Because I do have all the historical records from the Historical Society. So hopefully I can find something to include that in. Anything crazy on the thermal imaging?
Nope.
Nothing.
EMF was going crazy the entire time?
Yeah, until like now.
Okay.
And now
Because
it's
it knows we're getting ready to leave.
starting to talk about Avery.
Yeah. Anything out of your grades?
Look at that light now. Not some detail.
Yeah, it's not even crazy. It's like
Yeah. Seeming to slow down.
It's tired.
Yeah. Alright, so.
Doesn't want to talk about anything.
Yep.
Alright, so the answers to the questions I had you guys ask and dive into. She died at the age of 70 from breast cancer in Philadelphia. And that's also where she's buried. She's not even buried here.
Oh.
Yeah. Charles is, but she is not. There's a big age gap between the two of them. Just left the barn. Avery, right? She's all about the Avery, everybody.
We're going to put it together ourselves.
I did get the word all around. We were talking about the light. Eliza's maiden name was Lucas. So Eliza Lucas Pinckney is what she goes by. There are tons of books written about this woman. Has done way more than what I told you guys tonight for the city of Charleston. So by all means, dive into her. What else did I ask you? The daughter's name was Harriet. So, and I asked that, I'm giving you guys questions.
London.
Huh?
Your name popped up on her spirit box.
Say your name.
I didn't mean to do it, Eliza.
It is interesting. It's not a common thing you would hear on a spirit box. London. Where was I? So Harriet, I'm only giving you guys questions that I've actually gotten the answers to in the past. So one of the things I started doing tonight because of the activity I had last night was from Charles, and it didn't click until this morning, was he told me which political party he was a member of. He gave me the word Republican, and his first political party, he's part of the Jeffersonian Republican Party. So I had a direct link to that, which was very interesting, and I think that came from Britannica.org, so it was a valid site. So I was like, all right, I'll take it. So I started poking around with Charles and seeing if I can gather anything. I didn't get anything, but we'll see what comes up out of your spirit box during that session. Because I'll be interested to know. He's been coming through quite a bit. It's almost kind of like, quit talking about my wife, come chat with me, is what I've been, the vibes that I'm getting. I know, right? So, we are going to walk up East Bay Street. Absolutely no lasers on East Bay Street. So keep in mind no lasers. Keep in touch with your spirit box. No lasers on your end. Please keep filming. You can keep listening. I'm listening for names leading into our next location. We're going to go about 4 blocks. It may get a little busy because it's Saturday night in Charleston on East Bay Street, so keep those masks handy. If you see people, it's a mask up area. I'll have mine hanging from my ear. Probably vaping because that is a loophole to not wear a mask. And I find the loopholes. Loopholes of drinks, vaping. Again, I have a hard time. So,
Well, you find us drinks.
we're gonna. If anybody needs to use the restroom,
Oh, yeah.
we're gonna pass by the candy shop, which has a public restroom. If anybody needs to
Put my
use it, we
mask
will
on my
stop.
ear.
Okay.
That's where London just went off to. Are you okay, by the way?
Yeah.
You didn't eat any dairy today, so what's the deal? Okay.
Yeah.
She's lactose intolerant. We're finding out. So, all right. Ready to take a hike? All right. Let's do this.
just put it down like this till you need it.
Just let it hang
pop,
out here.
And then
That's what I
pop
do.
it. I prefer
Oh,
this
okay.
so it won't fall off.
Watch for steps.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to be careful.
Step up. Step down. Whoa. Step down. Step down. There's a little trip.
Yep, I got it.
Trainings for smacking my leg in the wall.
Thank you.
I'm gonna get on the roadside of you and be a gentleman.
Fine, just keep trying to catch up.
candy shop?
No idea.
He got way ahead of us. That's what happened.
I don't know. Oh, they're over here.
She takes a look at it and charges me. I'm the guy with the spirit box. I'm sorry, am I moving too quickly?
I'm not
She's
able to keep
recuperating
up.
from a broken
Broke my
ankle, so
Okay, I'll slow it up a little bit. No big deal. It'll be fine.
we didn't know if you went in the candy store or
Oh no, we're good.
Go, go!
No, Jake goes, I of course know where I'm going.
We need a logo.
Does anyone know where we're going? It's fine, walk. I know, I'm sure you do. Ow, ow.
Big.
Guys, get out of the street.
Yeah.
Jay, oh, Max plays pop. Let's go.
Yeah, it's after.
Wouldn't that be cool?
You know, the
you gonna make sure we don't get lost?
Yeah. Thank you.
A couple, like, I think the next two places we're going to are going to be like a little like bumpy on the floor.
Okay.
So,
I don't think we're trying to pick up anything here in particular because we're moving too fast, I would think. Come on, babe.
Like the ground is like really even.
Yeah, she broke her ankle twice since Christmas.
I have to be really
Two surgeries, and these sidewalks are a little sketchy for her.
I told him you was mad at him.
just make me nervous because they have big hits in them.
Oh, I know. Yeah, she's trying to be careful. We don't want to do it again.
Yeah, there's this other piece.
I don't really get to look around because I have to wash the ground.
I don't know.
It sucks.
Well, I'm looking at the ground too. It's probably not as rough as it looks, but it is in spots.
What?
So it's probably not as rough as it looks, but it is in spots.
please watch your stuff. London, if you need to carry the camera for him,
Okay.
you can do that if you need to.
This used to be a street.
Really?
Wow.
Keep it on the ground. Keep it on the ground or keep it on the walls.
With buggies?
Okay.
Maybe. I mean, everything was small. Very small.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know. Can you imagine? This was a street.
Oh yeah. All they had was carriages and didn't have any cars.
Well, and probably not everybody had one either.
Right.
Right. Horses, carriages,
There was still somebody.
walk-ins. Your dad said you guys came from Somerville?
Around that area.
Okay.
All right, welcome to Lodge Alley, everybody. We're gonna take a breather. If you guys hear anything along the way, I know you're chatting with me. It's okay, it's all recording. Is the SD still on that little screen to the right? I don't see it.
Hopefully that's been on the whole time.
Yeah, we'll see how much data we
So
have.
that needs to be on his SD?
Yes,
If you say
because it's recording to the SD
Okay.
card. So that's what it's doing. So it was on there when I handed it to you.
Okay.
I don't hand it over until that's on, so we'll see the kind of data we capture. So anyway, this is Lodge Alley. We were actually just talking about the width of the place. This used to be one of our oldest streets in Charleston. People used to live here. These buildings weren't here. There was actually small, what I call shotgun houses, 3-room houses, front door, back door. You can shoot a shotgun straight through. This was considered low class. How do we know that? They did an archaeological dig in between the clay bricks you guys were stumbling over, and they found their tools, they found their silverware, little articles of their clothing, and they were able to determine what kind of people they were as far as what class they were in. It also makes sense because, again, I told you the peninsula was much skinnier. So those buildings over there weren't blocking low tide smells from coming in. This would not be a very pleasant place to live.
Oh, yeah.
So I have the full list of residents of all the people that ever lived here. It's not very long, but it's very significant names. So I get the same name constantly. I did get the name Alex, which is why I asked what your name was again. I think did we have an Alex last night?
I think so.
Kind of reminds me of him, that's why. Sorry. 100 people a week, guys. It's really hard for me to keep going straight. But at any rate, I do have that list, and the name Benjamin pops up for me a lot in here. I also get the name John at the same nights that Benjamin pops up, and those two gentlemen both lived here in 1801. So that makes complete sense why those names would pop up together. I have caught shadow figures up here with the thermal imaging camera and was able to solidify it with the digital camera. I did catch some weird cold anomalies down here. We did catch some blue orbs on a photograph right above that archway the other night. I mean, we get all kinds of things that happen down here. This is also where the Masons used to meet. So before it was a neighborhood, they would come down here on a hot, sweaty night at Charleston in suits and suspenders, and they'd be talking business. So this was a meeting place as well. Super interesting place. The place behind me, this yellow building, is actually Lodge Alley Inn. It is a Blue Green vacation hotel. Every hotel in Charleston has their own claims of hauntings, none of them tied to the history, nor can they solidify who the heck these apparitions are that they claim to have. So unless they start giving me free nights, they're going to stay as debunked as nobody can prove it. So the places that I normally go on vacation, I think I was telling Amnesty, I got it, did I get it right? That I actually went on vacation up to Pennsylvania and did 5 investigations, 3 in Gettysburg, Frank Lloyd Wright's Fallen Waters house, and over at the Flight 93 Memorial for 9/11. So far on the podcast, the Jenny Wade house from Gettysburg and the Flight 93 Memorial, obviously I did on 9/11. Very interesting episode. I think y'all would be somewhat interested in that data because I use the same tools that you're using now. So the podcast will actually be at the top of your data evidence page. Obviously, it's a stream of income for me as you guys listen. So take those for what they are. It's real life stuff. So we're going to walk through here slowly. We're going to be cutting through a neighborhood, so be mindful of loud spirit boxes and lasers. People are winding down from their day. They live here. You guys leave the alley. Those are houses. It's somebody's house. So just we need to be mindful. Please keep filming. We We do want 2 more digital pictures going the opposite way. And then we'll look too, once we exit. So if you want to try to capture more orbs above that, you can. Just watch that. There is a break area and there's people in there. There's all kinds of things that happen down here. So we got the words "you are." Interesting. Great. All right. You guys ready to take a hobble? Let's go to the next place. We're gonna walk kind of slowly as we exit here. So you guys can check it out.
Okay. What is it? Get something.
I think you held down the power button.
Okay.
Like always.
Call me or always. Oh my god, I probably missed myself the whole night. It's hard when I'm hearing the same, like, different, like, people talking, so it's hard to, like...
Well, that's what I want you to hear. If it's a DJ and you hear a word, that's what I want you to tell me.
That's laughing. I don't know that.
This is a great photo off too, like towards the side of it, between towards the background. So off to the right side, you get a much better view.
We used to play on this road. Babe, your friend.
So, Decker, if you want to maybe jump in front of the back of the road, so you can grab your pick.
I heard that too. Maybe this will be good for your ankle too, but I doubt it. I said maybe this will be good for your ankle too, but I doubt it.
You don't know.
Come on. Good for you.
Lizard. I saw a little lizard.
Did you? It's a warm building,
Yeah, it is.
except for the window.
There's another tour.
Yeah.
That's probably from the building next door.
April. I got gift exciting tea in April.
What were they again?
Gift exciting tea April.
My wife April and I are building a house.
so you're excited to get the keys?
I would say so. It's very interesting that you're getting all of this stuff related
You're
to
getting
my
all
family.
your family
I know,
stuff.
right?
So it happens.
Oh, getting all here.
I know, right? My name pops up next. I'll be surprised if my dog's names pop up because they're really important to us. They're like they're family members. So we'll see what we get out of that. All right, so 8.
Like 8.
Okay. So this over here is Philadelphia Alley. It used to be called Dueler's Alley. I tell the story out here because it's a very popular ghost tour area. However, we have data just to prove the legend true or not. I already know that it's true because I've got the evidence, but I want to see if you guys can capture some too. If they make it a big theatrical performance, I'm going to give you the story in about 4 minutes. So that way you guys know what you're listening to. Again, I'm not your typical tour guide. What's that?
I just heard something.
Okay. So, during the time it was Dueler's Alley, there was a doctor that moved down here from Charleston because he was supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents, and the lawyer handling the money said, "You're not getting married." He sent the doctor away to go start his practice to prove that he wasn't just after Amanda's money. So he comes to Charleston. Atmosphere? Okay. Interesting. We'll see what we get.
We got 2 Alexanders.
Alexanders? We got the name Alex while we were in Lodge Alley, and I had her look up the residence with 2 Alexanders. So we'll take it. So, where was I? So the doctor moved to Charleston. The coachman that brings him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. Not a very good start to his stay in Charleston so he can get hitched. So somebody walking by, his name was Ralph Isaacs. So his initials were R.I., right? Ralph Isaacs. And the doctor was from Rhode Island, R.I. So initials pop up quite a bit when I'm walking through this alley. Just wanted to point that out. So Ralph says, "You don't want to stay here. This is a bad place. Let me take you somewhere else." He sends the coachman away, and he takes the doctor over to 59 Church Street. So it's in a neighborhood, or else I'd take you there. I do get really cool vibes from that place with the EMF and some of the words I capture, but it's a safe place for him to stay. So the two become friends. The doctor's business starts taking off. He's moving up in society. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. You can Google the Whistling Doctor and get all of the details of the story, but I'm giving you the skinny. So, Ralph is a regular Charlestonian. He's an attorney. He lived here, he's from here. Attorneys back then weren't what we know of attorneys now. They used to go see plays together, but had to sit in different seats because of where they were in society. They talked about the plays on the way home. One night after seeing Richard III, they're discussing the new actress in town. The doctor loves her, Ralph does not. Turned into an argument, and then an insult party on the doctor's fiancée back home in Rhode Island. The two get pissed off at each other, they go their separate ways. I told you Ralph had ties, so he calls a newspaper and he places an ad talking about what a disgrace the doctor is to the city of Charleston. He's not from here, he takes all our money, he's too expensive. So the doctor rebuttals with, "Let's go to Dueler's Alley and settle this." So they come down, and normally the loser of a duel is what? Dead, right? The normal way this would go, you can kind of see an opening in the far wall, not this one right here, but the next one. There's a doorway right there where the loser would go through the courtyard and over to St. Philip's Cemetery. They drop the body in the pre-dug grave, throw some dirt on top of them, and then go celebrate the winner with a pint. But that didn't happen. So let me tell you what happened with the doctor. They come down here, they take 20 paces, they turn, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He didn't want to kill his friend. He just wanted to forgive, let bygones be bygones. However, Ralph takes 2 shots below the knees. The doctor drops. So instead of going through the wall, his friends pick him up, they carry him home to 59 Church Street, a mile and a half from here, and he dies 10 days later. Now, what's the legend of the story? As you walk through this alley, it is said you can hear the whistles. I'm going to give you an example of what not to get excited about, because 2 people like to joke around with guys like me. They'll walk by and... So you know that that's not a legitimate whistle. It's going to be very faint. I have 2 in the past year that I've been doing this tour that I cannot debunk as somebody walking by giving me a whistle. You have to turn it up. If you're listening to this in the car, turn it up. That way you can actually listen for those whistles. I will stay away from the spirit box, so that way I'm not getting that interference. It is also, here it is again. So, Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd wrote numerous poems about his fiancée, Amanda, back home. They showed up last night, too. So, I actually ordered that book this morning. It's on its way. I've already read it online, but I want a copy of it. But anyway, very interesting. I don't think you knew that piece. The word poem showed up again. So, the other pieces, I say you can hear the gunshots from all the different duels. Do not take this tour on the 4th of July. I will not go through your evidence. It's impossible. The other historical feature of this has nothing to do with duels, but the bricks we're going to walk on, they get older as we go along. These up here were repaired and replaced in the 1990s. As we get to the end, we have sun-dried bricks from slave kids, children. We have their fingerprints, and we have one full handprint at the end. So it's next to somebody's house that lives in Philadelphia Alley. So we're going to be quick. If you want a picture of it, have those cameras ready. If you obviously want to take a picture of it for the group, you can. But we need to kind of exit quickly. I will point them out with my toe. The person behind me does the same thing. We kind of keep moving. We don't like to disrupt the residents that live here. We know that we're going to tour through. We just need to be a little tired. Thank you for making me scream. All right, so go ahead and listen to your spirit box. If we cut through a tour, it's obviously masks up, but keep the spirit box low. I don't want to interfere with my competitors. So just turn the volume down real quick. You can turn it back up when you come back out.
Elaborate.
Yeah, but what am I doing? Tour people texting. That's interesting. So anyway, we're gonna walk through that gate. If you guys wanted to stop to check out the doorway, the death gate, you can to take a quick picture. But I'm gonna continue left and then kind of duck around the left-hand side. And I'll wait there if I'm going too fast for you guys. So that way you guys can kind of investigate. Lasers, be mindful of the houses. This is the most beautiful place in Charleston. Love this area.
Down the steps, babe.
Because it was a lot easier for them to just leave the cows down here to the harbor or the slaughterhouse than Philadelphia Alley is the actual name of this house.
Nice to see it in the daylight. Be nice to see it in the daylight. It's out in the garbage can. Let's see you guys go.
Sorry.
What are you doing?
Itty bitty babies. Look, babies.
You're good? As you can be. You in? Okay. I need to be on that side. Okay.
They're coming. Trying to find a place where you have to go to a restaurant downstairs.
Did you guys notice how many people were in that other tour?
Yeah.
So they just lifted our COVID restrictions of limitations on tours.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. I'm going to stick to 10. It makes it more personal for you guys. I think you guys felt like this was more of a conversation than just listening to stories. So I'm going to keep this at 10, not to mention that's the amount of devices that I have. So I think if I go to 20, it's just ridiculous. I'll have the people standing around while I'm going, what did I pay for it?
Right.
So, but anyway, so we stop here. We got one last place to take a look at. It's the building catty corner over from us. Did we get anything weird over in Philadelphia Alley, by the way? We heard fireplace on the red spirit box.
We got the name Jeff and 50.
50? You asked how many. Somebody asked that how many questions. What was it? How many fires
Oh,
happened?
yeah, I did ask that.
I want to say it's in the 20s, but I don't know for sure. I'd have to go down and figure it out. I mean, I have the tour guide book, and I'll look
And
it
I
up.
asked if anybody hung out on that road.
So maybe it was Jeff.
Maybe it was Jeff. So the building across from us used to be parked. There was a cotton warehouse. So the last gentleman who had is a cotton warehouse. His name is George Poirier. George inherited the business from his dad. So he had no idea what he was doing. Silver spoon kid. Got himself into a bunch of debt. Blew through his inheritance. And then we had the boll weevil in town, which is a bug that eats cotton. So now his whole crop is yeah, it's done. So he needs to get rid of it and get out of the business. So what's he do? He sells it to the British. Keep in mind, across the street from the front of this building is where the Venue is and the pier. So you go down to Pineapple Park. So that would have been much closer. So you can see the ship roll in. They unload it back here with horse and buggy. Load up the ship. He's watching from the second-story window. And if somebody gets too close to the cotton with a pipe, the whole ship goes up in flames and he watches everybody die. He's already depressed. It's weird, usually when I get a dog nearby, something pops up with the dog. That's why I check real quick. But anyway, so he watches everything. He's depressed. He doesn't have enough money to pay off all of his American debts with the British money that he got. So he decides he's going to pile up all the furniture. Captain's chair on top. Climb it, swing a noose. So this is the area where I told you we're looking for that bluer spot on the second story window. So when we get to the front, you're going to do a nice slow sweep on the second story. This is also a place where Zoe from Coogan's Porch will show up. Zoe is 2 blocks away from Philadelphia Alley where we came out of. So that was her home. She lived there. She was a school teacher. She lived there with her sister Elizabeth. And she'll show up, and I know it's her because her name Zoe is spelled Z-O-E, not Z-O-E-Y. So it becomes up very specific, and I've had it several times. When you ask her what her house looks like now, she'll tell you, she won't say restaurant, because that's a lot to muster. She'll give you words like spoon, fork, table, eat, ate, like what she had earlier. Those are the kinds of things that we're looking for. Sometimes we get both, sometimes we get neither, sometimes we get one or the other. This is a hit or miss location, but it's a great ending spot. So we're going to take a look at it, we'll get some pictures of it when we get to the front, see if we can capture any pictures. They say you can see the shadow of the swinging poles. So again, second story all the way across. I don't care how dark they are, I can always light them up to see what's there. Again, EMF is going to go crazy when we hit East Bay Street because of the parking meters, so don't pay any attention to it. As far as lasers, absolutely none. We may test the temperature when we get to the front because sometimes there's a 30-degree difference between the top of it, which is covered in stone, and another stone that's inlaid into the brick 5 feet below it. So we'll take a look at that real quick. be down here on this corner. So.
I didn't notice this box slapped against my leg the whole time until like the last half hour. No, you really don't. You really don't. Good. Nope. You would be you get on the inside, I'll get on the so much. Right, let's just let go of hands and I'll just move yourself. It's a lot easier. I know a lot of crap went down here. Yep. Yeah. You're just data collection people. That's what we call it, working with bitches. Yep. Yep. And this picks up the audio. It does. Yeah, that's what we call the data collectors at work. Here's the bitch.
We need to get up. We need to get up on the side of the street.
Oh.
I have ibuprofen in the car.
Okay, my shirt's coming up like a fat man.
So again, at times, let me show you what we're going to do here. See the stone at the very top?
Yeah.
I'm going to measure that, and then there's the same type of stone about 5 feet below it. Sometimes it's all the way up to a 30-degree difference. 7 to 12 degrees, I can see. That makes sense. But not 30.
Huh?
So we're going to test it. So I got
It's a long way to test that too.
Yeah.
53.2.
How far away you are from the
Right. I would test that.
68. So, what did I say? 53
Yeah.
to 68. So we're got a 15-degree difference. It's a little out of norm, but well, I mean, I'm not going to call that paranormal at this point. When it's like 30 and I didn't hear anything on my spirit box, of course those motorcycles didn't help either.
Yeah.
So you didn't hear anything on yours either, because the motorcycles probably killed it, huh? So we're going to actually go ahead and collect the devices at this point. You guys can ask as many questions as you want. Who needs to go back to their vehicles? Are you guys all parked back that way?
Yeah.
Okay. Back down by Henry's, I mean.
Okay, so
Yeah, what are your dogs' names? Because I had 2 names down.
what'd you have?
Alaska and Casey.
Nope. Byron and Emily. So go ahead and shut this guy off. Nice job.